On this episode of Let's Build a Race Car, I need to get all of these motion parts in this race car. So I decided to purchase a Motion Raceworks CO2 Shifter kit. And so what I got in the kit is one bottle. I got another one from my local welding supply place filled as well. Got some accessories. This is to attach to the roll cage, some air lines, some fittings, got the MAC valve. I also got some extras. Since I do have the operator shifter, I went and got the billet insert, and I also got the red button for my line lock for the race car. So what I'm going to start doing is let's get that in the car and see how I want to start routing the lines. So one of the things I try to be mindful of when I'm in the car is, can I manipulate the items by myself? God forbid if I needed to shut something off. So I can get to all my switches in the front, touch the roll bar, do all the safety items if I need to. But one of the things is if I can turn this CO2 bottle off or on by myself. So right here, if you look, there's a bar here that is the cross riser from the cage. And so what I'm going to do is, I think it's good enough to go right here so I can manipulate it if I need to, turn it on and off. Everything looks good here. So I think that's where I'm going to mount it. So let's get to it. As you could see, the bottle did wind up in a different location than where I wanted it to be. And the reason for that is that the bar that I did attempt to mount it to, unfortunately, that diameter was too small. So I mounted it to the crossbar here, but it worked out in my favor. Everything is accessible. I'm really happy with how that turned out. And yeah, so I can reach everything that I need to. I can see the gauges. I can see if I have pressure or not. So it's time to actually getting to run the airlines. So one of the cool things I noticed is that when I was looking at what's in the kit, these airline fittings actually have a gasket underneath them on the bottom, and that's pretty cool, so that when you're attaching them to the endpoints, they actually seal and you don't need any Teflon tape. I thought that was very cool. And yeah, I'm happy that I purchased the Motion. So when I think about how I want to route the lines in the car, I always take a look at what existing mount points do I have that I can reuse. And I think I have an interesting solution for something that I'm about to do. So we have the port right here that's exiting off the regulator. And I think I'm going to take that down to a bracket that I'm going to mount here, use the factory mounting points. So the MAC valve will be sitting here, and then it's just going to be a straight line to the back of the shifter. And hopefully I can get this all to work. So let me go bend some aluminum real quick, and I'll be right back. So I bent up some aluminum, used the existing mounting points. So basically CO2 is going to come in from the left side, going to vent out the middle, but eventually it's going to go to the right, and then that's going to go directly to the shifter that I have in place. So what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to get the airlines fittings put in every location, and then I'm going to start routing some. Off camera, I decided to wire in the car, and then so we have our first airport here. I wrap it around the bottle, goes underneath. I use some cable ties to mount it to the bar, and then from the bar goes into port number 1 of the MAC valve, and then comes out port number 2, goes to the back of the shifter, and it's ready to rock and roll. I'm gonna test it right now. Oh man, so this is my first time working with MAC valves. I've never had a turbo car. Obviously the car is supercharged, so I don't have to really worry about air pressure stuff. But one of the cool things I wanted to do to test it was actually pulse the MAC valve without power being supplied to it. So I have it in 1 right now. And then all I did was take a non-sharp Allen key, put it in the port here, and that was so cool when it caught the gate. And yeah, look at that, got 3. That is so cool. I'm really happy with this system, but now the fun part's happening. Let's wire this up to the Holly, and yeah, let's make it work from there. Well, new day here in the garage. As you saw yesterday, I was getting the Mac valves all set up and I got into the wiring. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip this camera around, show you the inside of the car and how I wired it. So I never wired a Mac valve before. It's pretty easy. They're not polarity sensitive, so positive, negative. Put some abrasion sheathing over everything, and then I ran it to a Deutsch connector right here. So positive, negative, easy day. And then I ran that to the Holley. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's a rat's nest, but it's pretty easy for me to get the thing. So everything's good to go. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to the laptop and show you how I configure. So I'm new to the Holley game, and I don't want anyone to take what I say as gospel. I do a lot of research on the internet about what's going on. I am taking the Joe Simpson training course for, you know, the Tuning the Trilogy course, which is pretty cool. It's definitely learning a lot, definitely helping a lot. I went down, took the Holley courses, the Gauntlet, AKA, so Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. But once again, I'm new to this. So don't take anything as gospel. If there's a better way to do this, leave a comment down below. So I am actually using the new racing transmission ICF, so go into it. And then so I selected a racing setup here out of all the different options. I have a Turbo 400, so it has 3 gears. And then I went to shift output setup. The first thing I got to do is enable it. I only have one Mac valve, so it's just a single Mac valve that we're working with. And then I do have a trans brake on the car, but I don't use it for the actual race. I have a 2-step with a positive displacement blower. There's really no need for a trans brake. As soon as that yellow bulb gets on, I hit the 2-step and off we go. So my 2-step is set for around 2,800 RPM. So anything after that is what I set the timer to enable at. And then I also thought about this. I was thinking if you're pedaling it, there might be a situation where 50% on, 50% off. And so that's gonna pause this for me, the timer for the pedaling strategy. Then from there, I'm running a Gen 3 Hemi. They don't rev very high. I also have a 309 gear, so it's also not going to go very high as well. So I set it to 6,400 RPM, and hopefully the shift will be commanded after that. I'm not using shift timing yet, just because I don't know what would be a good timing in a quarter. When I get the car on the dyno, we'll know a little bit more information about that. And I have some very conservative numbers, just following Devin's video, 0.4 seconds for the active time on the shift, and 0.3 seconds for the inactive time after the shift. So this is how I set up my ICF. There's nothing special about it, just following some standard stuff. And then what I'm going to do is when I get the car on the dyno tomorrow, we're going to test all this out. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut away from the laptop. I'm going to put you back on the camera, and we're going to test the shifter using the Holley, and we're going to use the output test mode, which is some pretty cool stuff. All right, so here we are, car's on, it's good to go. I actually have the shifter in one. Don't worry, I got a chock in front of the front wheel so the car won't roll in the garage. But yeah, if you've never used the Holley output test functionality, it's pretty cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start it up. Hit okay. And what you're gonna see is that your Holley dashes are gonna do some weird things. They're gonna make sure you can't hit any of the buttons. So let's open up the valve. Let's confirm that we have 80 PSI at the regulator. See how this goes. Yeah, a little bit low, but now I think we're 20, 40, yeah, right about. Yeah, good enough for me. Cool. All right. So, as you can see, it's in one right now. Not doing anything special, just sitting there chilling. So what I need to do is I need to actually power the Mac valve. So we're gonna do that. And then I also need to set the pulse as if it was in the racing transmission setup. So 0.4 of a second is 400 milliseconds. I believe we set the time off as 0.3, which is 300 milliseconds. And I only want to do 1 pulse, so that's correct. All right, sweet, so we got that done. So what I'm gonna do is, inside of the pulse functionality, there's a little box check, and it runs through the number of pulses that you've set it up for. So to go from 1 to 2, I'm just gonna put this here and bring you guys back in here and show you this. And then so from 1 to 2, we're just gonna pulse it once. Awesome, that was totally cool. And then the pulse from 2 to 3, there you go. That's definitely how you use the output testing. Super cool functionality in the Holly, I love it. But yeah, so once that's done, everything will be resetting. Brings you back to the main screen. All your screens will reset, and the systems are happy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna try to get more content done like this. I'm not the greatest YouTube videographer, but if you like what you see, like, subscribe. If you have any questions about the Holly system, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So until the next episode of Let's Build a Race Car.